Basically, what ended up missing from my video, I had to come back, is you take a flat trim tool piece here and you start in the front and you pop this cover off, and then you take a pick and put back behind this. You pop this cover off right here, pop it off, it pops out from the top and then it folds down. Take your cap off, and then you got a couple screws down here on the bottom. That's got to come out as well. You'll do this with the window up. If you want, you can pull you can start with the window down, pull the door panel off, and then roll the window back up, do all your work. Then when you're done and go to put the panel back on, you obviously want to roll the window back down. It's easier to get it up over this channel right here and then put your plastic piece back on, because it'll help guide the door back on. Sometimes these are loose and they break. You can put a little bit of super glue or Loctite inside there and screw them back down, and they'll actually stay. Well, my camera randomly shut off, and then there's some 7 mils down here on the bottom. All those need to pop off. Take all those out and then we'll pop the door off. So all the screws are out of it right now. Literally, I grabbed the bottom of the door, nice, and don't kill it, but kill it. And then after the bottom pops off, work your corners, and then once you get around, there's a cable in the back. Be very careful of this cable. You need to reach back there, and there's a tab. Pull it down, it unlocks, slide it out. Be very careful with that. You will break it and you'll end up replacing it. You cannot fix it. I've seen guys try to fix it and it ends up breaking anyway. Do not try that. Now we're gonna have to actually go through these holes that somebody's already been in. Pop these off. When you put this back on, if they're that loose like that, where they just slide on like that, you need to put a little dab of Loctite in there. Go ahead and slide this rubber boot off. There's a nut right there that goes to the door handle. And then there's another one right underneath it, but it's behind this cable. You can see it right there. Both those need to come out, and then this one needs to come out as well. By the way, how I get those out is I will use an extension. I'll use an extension, electric impact, and a 10mm magnet socket preferably, but you don't have to use magnet. This truck has never been here before. You can tell whoever put these on, they over tighten them like crazy. That's so uncalled for. Whoever put them on really put those on there. Way over tighten them. See, what I'm doing is I'm reaching up in the hole while I'm putting my impact through, and I'm taking it out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that, what did I do with that pick? I'm going to get the pick. We're going to go nice and easy behind this, and then turn in, turn back up, and pull out. There's another 10 mil right there. It needs to come out. You can see before where somebody put these shields in here, the screw's not all the way in. They didn't even tighten it up all the way. So naturally this thing's got this big giant gap between the body, and push it in all the way, seals everything up. Let me go ahead and tighten that up real quick. I think it's a T20 is what it is. Ideally that's how it's supposed to be sitting in there, like that, flush all the way up against it. Now look at this here. Look at that seal that was around the door. That's where all that water and stuff is getting in. 99.9% of it's coming right around that seal right there. And you can see how dirty the top of this is, and how it's been, all the track marks from water. You can see the track mark from water right there on that black shielding that's just been running down that. And then people wonder why. Let's go to work. Let's do some upgrades here. So this is how I install this shield right here. Some people don't do it that way. Some people put it in front of it. I don't like that. Put it right here behind it, just like so. Run it up flush with this channel. I'll even take a little bit of silicone and put it right there behind it on top of that little rubber piece so it can't come back out. And look at the top. Nice and tucked in behind that rubber right there. Now, with that rear door piece, it needs to overlap. It needs to come way over here, push into this plastic right here. And then there's a little piece you put on here. It sits at 90 degrees. This needs to come all the way up and touch this plastic, just like I got it. Overlapping this little, more along the lines of this, the white channel. I got it all the way up on that channel, right? And then I got this foam piece tucked in right here. You gotta get that foam piece in there. So see, that's all tucked in. I got a block put around here, and then I got this little foam piece protecting that cable. This is all sucked in nice and tight. Now we're going to take a bead of TA30, which is a TA30 silicone, and we're going to run it from this edge here all the way up over this thing, all the way around the backstop. Let me do that and I'll be right back. So far, this is what we got. This whole area is covered in axle wheel bearing grease. Just the whole face of that covered. See, I got TA30 silicone all the way up and around that backstop. I even put a little bead right there in that corner to seal that corner up. Now we'll go ahead and clean this whole entire perimeter of this handle off. Make sure it's nice and squeaky, alcohol clean. I do this part a little different. What Ford wants you to do is they want you to take this seal and they want you to put it on the handle. I don't do that. I put it on the door first. And then I just fill in whatever little gap here I can, and I put a real light bead of silicone also on the handle so it could adhere as well. So this is how I do this little thin foam strip. This works the best. And then when I do this part here, I put a thin bead of TA30 around the outside, and I fill that sucker plumb full of door latch grease. I don't do specific spots. Everything gets full of door latch grease. So this is how I do these doors. They don't ever come back. The customer's never complaining. This is how I do them. They've never complained one time about the little nice dressed up black symmetrical ring around their handle. Some of them think it's actually pretty cool looking, especially when you have silver on black. It all matches. They're like, oh wow, that really makes my truck pop a little bit more. So this is how I do them. and I've never had one come back with doors freezing. This is the rear doors. We're going to do the front doors next. Now I got to get this cable up in there and spray a bunch of penetrating oil and stuff down inside here. Really make sure this cable's lubed up. Okay, you can see here I've got just a real bungee with just light pressure holding this up. Now I'm going to flood this cable with silicone spray. I funneled a ton of silicone down in there, just a regular Ford silicone spray. The silicone spray lubricant, or you can just use a regular silicone spray XL6. That's what this is. But they actually have, you can go to the parts store and just get a regular wet silicone spray and spray it down in there and just flood that cable. Now I did get a little ahead of myself, reach up in there, and right where that cable goes in, I'll see if I can get a shot. But this, where that cable goes into the handle, this clips around that cable. The one that I pulled out on the outside. I'm hoping I can get a shot of me. Done. All right, so I filled this full of that the door latch grease that I showed you, and that was XG13. So now I'm going to go ahead and put this door and everything all back together and run this window up and down a few times. Remember, you got to give this time for this to dry. Don't take it out immediately and just expect this to it's gonna dry overnight. Just leave it alone. Don't get it out in the rain, nothing like that. Just leave it alone. And go ahead and put your little cap in there. Obviously, you see I forgot that. Put everything back together. Now it's time to go put it back together. Be very careful because you're going to have to set the top in. You have to set the top in. You're going to have the door on a little bit of an angle. Pull it down. Get everything lined up. Remember what I said, super glue or some kind of Loctite on here if that little piece that goes over this is wore out. Get everything slid back together, nice and easy, and then you'll feel when it's ready. You got to shimmy it around a little bit, but do not force it, because if you force it, you will break it. You know what, something I forgot. I'm going to cut the top of this off. You see this line right here? The little line. I'm going to cut the nipple of that off right at that line, and then I'm going to score it. I'm going to slice it this way, and I'm going to slice it this way, and I'm going to open it up. So it looks something like this. When you go to put this cable back in, you're going to start with the top, and then you're going to slowly push it down. It will snap in. If it doesn't snap in, if you pull the handle sometimes, just a little bit, a hair, it helps. Okay, it did help putting this on there because it helped me guide it in, and it's been a little while since I did one. Roll the window down all the way, and it'll help get that in that spot. And then obviously you have to go back and detail any fingerprints and stuff off, and it's real simple. Anyhow, that's how I think these rear doors should be done, and I've never had a customer come back or complain. My personal opinion, doing it the way I did it, it actually makes the truck look better. See how plain Jane that is right there? And then you come over here, it's got a nice accent to it. It makes the color around it stick out and everything. It gives it something different. I'm rolling with it.